Hello and welcome to Success Tips Global. Today is November the 3rd, 2022. My name is Everett Ofori and I'm speaking from Tsukuba, Ibaraki Prefecture, Japan. Today I have the honor of and the privilege of speaking with one of the contributors to the book, Success Tips from Successful African Americans, Volume 1. Queen Mother Falaka Fattah is a writer, editor, community developer, and CEO of the House of Umoja. She has been honored by the United States Presidents Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan, and also received many other accolades for the success of her program, helping transform the lives of young African Americans in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And today she's joined by one of her grandsons, and I'll let her introduce him again. Queen Mother Falaka Fattah, a big welcome to Success Tips Global.
Thank you. We are honored to be with you.
Okay. So could you please take this opportunity to introduce your grandson?
Well, I will go back to come forward. When I married, as I was married as a teenager, and very quickly had 6 sons. My husband was in the service, and when one of the second one that I gave birth to is the father of my grandson that you see here with me today. Now, his father, when he was a teenager, decided that he wanted to join a gang, which at the time I knew nothing about. And it just happened that I was at the same time receiving letters from readers of one of my publications asking the question of why it was in Philadelphia that children killed each other.
Mm.
I had no idea. And so I asked my husband, who was the hero of all of his stories, if he would go in the street and do some research for me, because he could certainly go into areas where I could not. And so he began doing research. He attended a lot of funerals. He visited those who were hospitalized, those who were in prison. But he came home one evening and gave me the news that my 16-year-old son was, in fact, a gang member.
Oh.
And I think that that is when the journalism hat went one way and the motherhood had got a lot more important at that time. And so then I began to research into the problem because I realized that the children were dying in Philadelphia streets. And under my research, I found that there were many people in denial. I found that people were making profiteering over the problem. I found that politicians were getting elected, making promises about the problem. And I found that nowhere did I find anyone that had a handle on the issue. And certainly when I dug deeper and found that there were actually over 200 kids that would have considered it a real trophy to kill my son, that was when I stopped sleeping very well and agonized over what was going to happen and how could I possibly do something about the situation. And I think my training as a journalist kicked in. I realized that I had to know more. I had to research myself and find out before I could figure out a solution if there was one.
Mm.
I had to figure out, first of all, what was I really dealing with. And so at that point, I asked my husband if he would allow me to invite my son's gang to move in and live with us. So that is my introduction. It's a long one, but I had to give you the background so you would understand.
Certainly. So that decision to bring the young people into the house was a big
Yes.
one. How did it work out initially?
Well, it really, I think many people talk about what I taught the kids, but I think I learned from the kids. It was a whole different understanding of what their lives were truly about. Uh, and so, as a student of my new enlarged family, I I asked these young men if they would come up with a way that we could blend the gang with the family. How could we possibly live together? And they formed a committee and came up with rules that they agreed to. And my husband and I agreed to. We were outnumbered as adults, of course. And those rules stood by us for over 40 years and into the lives of over eventually 3,000 boys that came to live with us.
Okay. So let me ask Mr. Anthony Bannister Fattah, how has the program changed over the years? Could you please check your volume? I can't hear you very clearly.
Can you hear me? Can you
hear
me?
Yes, now I can, yes.
Yes. What I was saying is I've seen it change a lot, from the past. Like right now, we're not the residential program we used to be. Right now, we're primarily special programs based for the most part and events based. My grandmother's vision is to evolve the House of Umoja into a peace academy. We still have the roots of our beginnings, meaning conflict resolution, community-based organizing. But right now, it's more basically based on the changing of the times with technology and entrepreneurship and getting our children empowered, not just to be consumers of this technology and of the media, but more so to show them how to be creators and entrepreneurs and better citizens in their community. So that's how it's changed in a brief description of it. If more so from residential in the past to primarily technology and program based right now.
And how do you attract people to the program? Do they come by themselves or are they referred by some agencies?
No, what we are doing, we recruit the young men. What we are trying to accomplish now is the development of a Peace Corps.
Okay.
Because as you probably are aware, the numbers of homicides have increased throughout the United States and certainly includes Philadelphia. And so what we are trying to develop now, which is a very ambitious program, is we want to take those buildings that we acquired when we were a residential program and renovate them to develop a peace academy. And so we're right now engaged in working with those people who can give us the type of support that will be needed in order to do this transformation.
And you are based in Philadelphia. Are there any plans to scale up to other cities across the United States?
Yes, many of the programmatic initiatives that were created have been replicated throughout the United States in different ways in different cities, but no one has actually replicated the in its entirety, which I think since we're now, House of Umoja is now 54 years old, and we are now engaged in changing ourselves. And so I think that what we need is to reach out and we're on the road to try to find out how to keep people from killing each other. That's still the heart of it. And so we need to have researchers to look globally to find out where is it that people are living together without the deadly intrusion of death.
What is the age group that you really focus on?
the boys that lived with us in the past were ages 15 to 18, but we are now dropped the age. We're going down to 12 preteens even, because the young people have they have in terms of acting out in antisocial behavior, they have begun at a younger age.
Mm. And Mr. Fattah, when you look at some of these young people, what are some of the characteristics that you see you see them displaying, positive or negative?
Well, both ways. On the let's deal with negative first.
Okay.
On the negative, idle time. You know, if they don't have anything to do, they're going to do something negative with the time. It's just going to happen. Sitting around doing nothing, and sometimes to me, nothing is the worst something that you could be doing.
Right.
You know, you should be doing something positive, something good for your community. You know, there's a lot of deaths, there's a lot of violence, a lot of gun violence, and it's being promoted by the media, by the music that's being digested, by the video games that's being digested. It's not a complete, but when you couple all those things together, it's a diet. Most people back in our day, we had pieces of it, but today it's a continual diet and it's 24/7. Back in the day, television used to go off at 12 o'clock. Today it's 24/7, 365, and it's not even television. It's in their pocket. So we have to be more radical with our approach, more creative with our approach to reach them in their pockets with positive reinforcement, with positive messaging, with positive, the same things they're doing, but spending it to benefit, so they can see themselves and see solutions. Because, like my grandmother always says, we're the problem, but the family is also the solution.
Right.
So House of Umoja here is basically family-based, and we want to drive family-based initiative, family-based solutions to keep the continuity, because the community is nothing but a reflection of families. So that's what we're saying. And, you know, we want to create positive art, positive music, you know, positive expression.
So are your programs based on maybe months or years long? What is the time cycle for each of your programs?
Well, in order to better understand this generation, we started in the spring of this year with an after school program.
Okay.
And then we did in the summer we added to the workshops that we were giving the kids after school by having them earn money and learning skills. Shortly, within a matter of weeks, we will be bringing in a new group. We are now recruiting for a new group that will take us throughout the winter months. And our concentration with these young people is for them to write their own story. Let them be, as I told you, my husband was the hero of his own story. We want to show the kids that they don't have to be the villain, they have, or the victim. They can be the hero.
Okay, now we've heard a little bit about House of Umoja. I think listeners usually want to know more about the people behind the programs. So if we can begin with Queen Mother first, tell us a little bit about where you grew up and your family background.
Well, I was born and reared in Philadelphia. My mother came from the South, from Virginia, as a teacher. My father and mother met at the university in Virginia, and he persuaded her to come north to meet his family, and then he would never let her go back. He married her, and but my brother, there was the two of us. My brother became a mathematician, physicist, and developed all kinds of important applications from a technological standpoint. He is no longer with us, but that is how he made his contribution. In terms of other important adults in my life, I've had the opportunity by being a writer to have had interviews with many people, but I just recently published a magazine in which I gave tribute to over 100 people who were important in the development of the 54-year journey of the House of Umoja. So if you would like it, Everett, we can send you a copy of that journal. It is a keepsake journal, and you can, when you have time, I don't know when that would be, but you might want to give us your response to it.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you. And let me come to Mr. Fattah. Can you share a little bit about your own experience growing up?
Oh, well, of course, my grandparents' grandson, graduated from Overbrook High School, went to Temple University initially,
Okay.
signed a major record deal back in the early 2000s, left that. Yes, pretty much into technology, always been into conflict resolution, have extensive background in community involvement with the Philadelphia Anti-Drug, Anti-Violence Network. Well, pretty much, if you look me up a little further, you see that I was Kobe Bryant's mentor for the first, I would say, for 8 years, from high school till when he met his wife. Yeah, and I'm doing a talk about that also soon. And yeah, I'm here to help facilitate my grandparents' legacy at the House of Umoja. And yeah, I'm a musician. I'm an artist.
Okay.
I'm a technologist. I'm into technology, heavy, real strong into cryptocurrency and 3D printing. So innovation is my background.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, so what are some of the challenges House of Umoja faces? Are you supported by the government, or how does it work?
Well, we've had ups and downs. When we started out, we just simply used our own money, and we were discovered by I guess, the bureaucrats of the world, because many of the young people that came to live with us also had records, criminal records. Their probation officers followed them, and because they no longer were living at home. And when they reported that the young people had began to make a turnaround, a positive turnaround, they reported that to the court. And when the judges found out about it, they started to they would send boys to us. And when that happened, there was money then made available to properly care for them.
Okay.
And so we were not out looking for, we were not into the money game. It just happened. They asked us originally if we would accept it. Now that was in the early days. Since that time, when we acquired the buildings, we learned how to make matching funds with the city, the state, and even the federal to raise the money to do the renovation on the buildings. We've also been fortunate from time to time to have grants that have been made to us by foundations. We've been around now, as I said, for 54 years. So I think we have gone all the way from not asking for anything to now coming out at the other end, knowing that we have to go back into asking for money so that we can change the buildings into the Peace Academy that we want to acquire.
Okay, and Mr. Fattah, how do young people respond to some of the training you provide them in terms of, for example, conflict resolution? Is it something they embrace?
Yes, they want it. It's the missing element in our community. Children have to be taught how to communicate. The word commune is in community.
Right.
You know, and our children, you know, behavior, conflict resolution, how to just basic mannerism, you know, teaching children how to communicate with one another, respect for one another.
Right.
You know, kindness, the lost art of kindness. My grandmother's heavy on, you know, just respect. So yes, they love, you know, and they get paid. They earn to learn around here.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's accepted well.
I'd like to add that the new young people that will be coming with the next group, 3 of them have been referred by one of the former ones that was here during the spring and the summer. So these are his friends. So he must have found something worthwhile to get his friends to come and to take advantage of what he has been able to acquire.
And our students also are published now.
Oh,
yeah, they
okay.
wrote for the magazine. Like when you get the magazine, you'll see that some of our youth actually wrote articles in there.
Wow, wonderful. Okay, anything else that we haven't talked about that you think is important?
Well, I admire all of the work that you have done, and I was wondering if you are doing book tours, or how are you making readers aware of the publication?
Well, I work as a college instructor here in Japan, so I don't have the opportunity to actually go out and do much promotion. So I do everything online. So all the promotion I'm doing is going to be online, yeah. Yes.
All right. Well, it's an honor to be in your presence, and we will make sure that you receive a copy of our publication. And hopefully you might, as I said, whenever you find time, give us your thoughts on the curriculum that should be included in the Peace Academy that we are developing. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. And I'll keep following what you do. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
And
pleasure
bye
meeting
for
you, Mr. Everett.
Bye-bye.
Same, likewise. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.